come on to the word authenticity, because as you know, it's in the title of the book, how speakers engage authentically. Now, authenticity is a big word today, and you might say being natural or being real or being honest. But how do you think I describe authenticity in the book? And how do you, as a presenter, show authenticity, if you like, Lisa? How did you interpret that?
Your main way of describing authenticity is around the speaker's ability to use personal storytelling to bring out their natural personality in the way that they speak. And something I particularly liked about the book was that you feed that in all the way through the book. So you punctuate sort of tools, techniques, tips with little stories from your own past and present, which really brings out your personality as the author in the book. And I really, really loved that. So I'd find myself feeling the emotions that you wanted me to feel based on the particular story that you were telling, whilst I was also being educated about, the tips and tools and techniques I needed help with. So for me, I like to use humor. I love to write. So I love stories. And that was a really easy tip for me to take on board and try to bring into my speaking, and one that made me genuinely feel more comfortable as a speaker, because there's a real simple wonder in, if you're talking about a story that's personal to you, then it's easy to tell. And you don't have to remember it and worry about mincing your words, because it's ingrained in your memory. So that for me was a revelation moment, really, and lovely to feel like that was allowed, isn't the right word, I suppose, but in the corporate world, sometimes you feel like that's not the right way to go, that people don't want to hear your backstory, or that you'll be wasting somebody's time if you took something down a slightly more personal road. But actually, when you start to realize when that's happening to you and how much you enjoy it, you realize no one would ever feel that way as long as you are being your authentic self when you're telling it. So I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah, that's really a really good explanation, actually, about storytelling, being allowed to tell your backstory, if you like. And what do you think when you tell a story? What do you think the audience feels, Lisa? How do they react to that story, if you like, especially for leaders? What does it say to them?
I think for me, what I want the audience to feel is connected and engaged, and for a moment engrossed, entranced, in what you're saying. So the most memorable speeches or presentations are the ones that you're not trying to remember. You can't help it. I can think of an amazing speech that Frances told at a Shine event, where she, Frances Nichols, who's one of the owners of Nichols, she told a story about how she was a very creative child, and the way she told it, she said, when I was young, I used to love to sing, I used to love to dance, I used to love to paint, and it was taking you on this journey. And you'll find, when I think about it now, what's happening in my imagination is I'm imagining Frances as a child, singing, dancing, painting, and it's all completely automatic. And that's what she wanted me to be doing. And now I cannot get that out of my head, no matter how hard I try, but I wasn't trying to remember it at the time. So I think it's a magical thing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that connection, and I remember her telling that story as well. And we've probably heard her speak loads of times at meetings and events, but we remember that because it was so personal.
2 Christmases ago, wasn't it? Something like it was a long time ago.
It was 2 or 3 Christmases ago, and I remember, and we worked on it together. And I said, it's magic. It's magic, and so we all remembered it. And she was very natural when she delivered it. And as you said earlier, our personal stories are embedded because we've experienced them, and therefore they come out in a much more natural way when we speak. And you also mentioned that thing about making a connection. So when she talked about loving to dance and sing, you, Lisa, probably would have thought, oh, yes, I used to love to dance when I was a child, you know. I mean, I didn't like to draw like Frances did, but I did love to move and dance. And so then I thought of myself when I used to dance as a child, just as you might have done as well. And we make that silent connection, as I call it. So it's lovely you remembered that story. That's really good.